Hey everyone, welcome back to the Screw It, Let's Do This podcast. I'm Therese.
And I'm Shelby.
And today I'm going to be interviewing Shelby. She's got no idea what I'm going to ask her today, but we're going to do a deep dive into her childhood. her like beginning stuff with entrepreneurship, her dreams, her goals, her deepest, darkest secrets.
I have no idea what you're going to ask me. We have not talked.
In a week, basically.
In about a week.
But
I was
purpose.
on vacation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She was on vacation, so I was letting her like take a break
Live
from
my
work.
life. Take a break from you.
Well, no, that is not true. We still texted every day, you guys. But
was
we did
it every day?
About.
Okay.
But I didn't get like the whole story about her life in the past week because we wanted to talk about it on the pod.
Yep.
So I could hear it live.
Yep.
So before we get into Shelby's whole life story, Shelby, I know you were just in Nashville. Yeehaw!
I was going to wear my boots, everyone. Today I'm wearing pink Nikes. They match the brand, but they're not the boots that I really wanted to wear. So I'm so sorry that you're missing out on that.
I saw many pictures online.
I know.
They're white cowboy boots.
I posted them on every single account. Yeah. I went in looking for white cowboy boots and I finally got them. And I wore them all concert. Like we had to walk like 4 miles. The whole concert, we went out after all night. My feet were totally fine.
Were they
were
like
super comfortable?
Super expensive, real leather
Yes.
cowhide? Ooh. How many cookies do you need to sell to pay for those?
I'm not going to buy boots and have them be like Walmart, you know.
Yeah.
If I'm buying boots in Nashville, they're going to be nice. And they're nice.
Yeah, I'm going to need a pair of boots eventually. What size are you? Just wondering.
9.
Nah, that ain't going to work. But
what are you?
7.5.
My mom. You know how many boots my mom has? She bought 2 pairs there. She's literally got like 20. Anyways.
I will be reaching out to Deborah.
No, for real. If you ever need them, my mom's got some.
No, I will. So I'll be following up with her. But so what did you do in Nashville? So it was your birthday.
It was my birthday.
Happy 26, which is wild. We already talked about that in a different episode.
Yep.
It was also your boyfriend's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was your mother and your brother. Your mother, your brother. You all went to Nashville.
Why'd you have to say it like that? Yes, it was me, my boyfriend Ben, my brother Brandon, and my mom. And you were like, oh, did your mom go out with you? Yes, and my mom's more fun than me. She stayed out later than me one of the nights.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You've been to Nashville, but it's a lot of food, drinking, country music, which I love.
Bachelor parties.
Yep.
Constant.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we had a car, so we did a lot of shopping. I hit up a few bakeries I wanted to go to.
Of course. Did you gather any inspiration?
I did. My phone's full of them.
Oh,
I'll show you later.
Okay.
And yeah, just lots of concerts and drinking.
Wow. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, it did get cold here.
Luckily, the concert day, it was like 84. So my back, I was on a rooftop wearing like a spaghetti strap dress.
Yeah.
My back is
kicking.
Burnt. But I think the concert was probably, I was so excited for that and it was so good.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Are you rejuvenated?
No, not at all. It was really nice to like go somewhere else and like have fun. But I mean, my inbox just.
Oh, the hamster wheel that is the inbox.
It was crazy. And I was like getting to some emails like at the end of the day or like beginning of the day before we leave. And then I'd be like, okay, that's good enough. And I'd like shut the computer and go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now I'm just like super overwhelmed coming back.
Yeah.
Because now the store, like so much is happening that I have to do on top of like all of our orders. And like there's so much going on. So yeah, I'm really not rejuvenated at all. But thanks so much for asking.
Yeah, perfect. Well, let's get into, so obviously we know you're getting a storefront and that is current present day Miggy's. What I want to talk about today is like everything that brought you to that point, because I also think this will be really fun to listen to like 5 years from now because it feels like we've come so far. It feels like you've come so far. And then 5 years from now, it's going to be like, oh, remember when you just opened your first storefront? So, I mean, this is going to be a huge accomplishment. It's been your dream for a pretty long time. But let's get back to like baby Shelby. Like, let's start there. Baby Shelby out the womb, childhood. So let's like skip the out the womb part.
Should we get my mom on?
Oh my gosh. And that's why we have Deborah. Come on through, Deborah. No, let's start like early on. I want to talk about kind of like your childhood. I know you had some entrepreneurship interests when you were little.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what is the first entrepreneurship moment you had in your life?
Well, when I was delivered at the hospital, they said I would be a seller.
No, they probably said, sell her, sell her.
My brother told my mom, he said, she says she wants to go play with her friends. And she's like, what? And he said, her told me that she wants to go play with her friends at the hospital. He wanted me to go back. And my mom said, Brandon, babies can't talk. She didn't tell you that. Her told me that.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, he didn't want
So
me.
your brother didn't want you. Well, he was the only
No.
child at that time.
Yeah. So probably the first, I love to sell stuff in my neighborhood, and I would just look for excuses of like things I could go door to door to do. And I mean, we all had like, those things in school, like selling candy bars, selling the stuff they had us sell. I'm like, who would buy? Like today I'd shut the door on a kid, come back with something better, and maybe I'll buy.
Oh, see, I would buy anything if a kid had the courage to come to my door. Because
I knocked on every door. It's
selling those things.
Oh, I sold that stuff. And then the other thing that I sold every single year, I should bring one in because I do have them. And we can hang one, maybe for Halloween episode. It's called a dingbat is what we called them. So it was like this big, about, I don't know,
half
6
foot.
inches. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a little bat cut out and painted black. And it was like painted to look like a bat. And it had like a little fishing wire on it, basically. Fishing line, and it had a little bell on it, and you would hang it, and it was called a dingbat.
And you crafted this?
No, my grandpa did.
Okay, so you and your grandpa were in cahoots. He would make it, and you were the seller.
Yeah.
The door-to-door seller.
Yep. So he was very crafty, had like a wood shop, had all this stuff. And back at that time and before then, he would make like different crafts, sell them at markets, and so did my mom and dad. They both did that before I was born.
Wow.
So
that is really interesting. They just did that on the side. Sold their grandpa's crafts.
And my mom crafted too.
Oh, wow.
My dad did not craft.
That's a tough industry.
Yeah.
Craft fairs and
so
stuff.
They did that. I think back then it was probably a little bit better because now, I don't know. I think
you can get anything online.
Yeah,
so
I think the
tough.
craft market has changed a little bit. But like back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, it was a little different, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we had these little dingbats, and my grandpa would make them and would say, okay, you can go sell them and you keep all the money that you make. And I think I sold them for like $1 each. And I went to every single door in my neighborhood. I would go multiple times. Like I just did not care. I thought it was fun. And I sold them every year. Like people would buy. I'm sure some houses in my neighborhood probably had like 10. Because I just would go, and I knew the houses that would buy from me every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just schmoozed them up.
Wow.
And that's like the first thing that I used to do.
So when you needed money as a kid, you were like, Grandpa, can I get some more dingbats? Or
not really. I mean, I didn't really need money as a kid.
Okay.
Like I wasn't like
needing. Well, what about like the candy you bought at the candy store? Dingbat money?
I just brought my dad.
Oh my God. I'm going to call in Oli and get
bring him in.
His thought on this. Okay, so dingbats was the first thing you sold.
Yeah.
And what came after that?
Then it was just like stuff they sold at school. You know, those little like pamphlets that you would get at school when you're in like elementary, middle school. Then in high school, I was in softball, and we had to sell, like, I don't know, we would sell like these little Bucky
Fundraiser
books
things,
fundraiser things. That never bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
I would still go door to door or call people. I didn't really care.
Okay, so let's talk about high school. What were you like? What were you involved in high school besides a sport, 2 sports?
Mm-hmm.
What else did you do?
I was pretty involved. I did a lot of volunteering. I volunteered at the senior center in Middleton, in my city, and then at the food pantry. And then I also was in Key Club, which was like through our school. The other 2 things I did wasn't through our school. It was just, I like to volunteer. And Key Club was like volunteering. I did a lot of volunteering in sports. That's like what I did.
So when you went to college, were you like, you knew what you wanted your major to be? Did you feel clear about that? Mm-mm. What did you go in with? You went to Madison.
Yeah, I think I went in like pre-business. I don't really remember. I think I did like pre-business. I didn't know what I wanted to do at all, but my brother went to UW too, and I got denied from the business school my first time. You can apply twice.
In your first year, you apply?
Yeah.
Oh. But you're taking just gen eds the first year.
And you can still apply.
Okay.
So you can apply twice at the UW Business School. If you get denied the first time, you can try again. If you get denied, then you can't be in it. But I was so salty that I didn't get in that I said I'm not applying again.
So you didn't go?
I didn't go to business school, no.
Really? So economics wasn't considered business?
No.
Because that's
life science.
What in the heck?
I know, it's weird. I had so many I took so many business classes. I was one class away from a business minor.
Oh,
but I dropped it, accounting, because I couldn't.
You never had to take an accounting class?
No, I couldn't do it. I took one, but I dropped it. It's the only class I ever dropped.
Wow. That explains like some things. Like I went to school for business stuff and we had to take a couple of accounting. And I know you hate accounting.
Hate it.
You hate it more than I hate it. But
I do not get it. Like I was in level like 100, the most basic accounting. And like I've always been like smart at school. I've never struggled. Like,
what was your GPA? Let's just say it.
3.9.
Oh, at Madison?
Yes.
Oh. Nerd. Bookworm.
I've never struggled, but like school's always come easily to me. Like I've always had to like work. Like I
Did you take
studied a
AP
lot.
classes in high school? Wow. I did not. We can talk about that in my episode. I took everything but. Took every art class you could think of.
No, I did everything I was very studious, I guess you could say.
Really? So people would be like, hey, Shelby, want to go out? It's a Thursday night. And you'd be like, sorry, guys, I can't. I have to study.
No, I did both.
Okay.
But yeah, school just always came easy to me. But the one class that I just could not understand was accounting. And I went to every single office hours. I got like multiple tutors that were like TAs that I paid, outside of class to come tutor me. And I just like, I would go home and like cry because I could not understand accounting. And I'm like, this is not going to wreck me. Like I'm dropping this. Like I just could not do it.
There wasn't anyone in class you could schmooze to like help you out?
I had like a couple like friends in class, like, people that we would like get together and do stuff or like work on our homework and whatever. But it did not make sense to me. And that was the one thing that held me back from a business. They call them certificates, but it's a minor.
Okay.
Was that one class. So I did like all the other business electives, but that I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm. So you went to school for economics and then you graduated. You didn't get a job in economics. You went straight to startups.
I knew I wasn't going to get a job in economics probably. I really liked it. But honestly, when I graduated, like when I picked my major, I didn't know what I should do. But my brother studied economics. And so I thought, well, he's really smart.
You followed in his footsteps.
So
does he know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I picked that major because I didn't know what to pick. And I'm like, well, if Brandon's picking that and he's smart and knows what he's doing, I'll do the same thing. That's why I did it.
Wow.
And I liked it. Like if I wouldn't have liked it, I wouldn't have done it. But yeah, so I did that. And then no, I didn't really think. I thought I'd just get a business job, whatever that means, Yeah. Like you think, I'm just going to work in business.
You have
like,
no
what does that
idea.
really mean?
Nobody. But the thing is, even when I learned in college, all the different pieces of business didn't even make sense. Didn't make sense at all. Now it's like, it totally clicks for every position.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, you had your economics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hated econ. So you had your econ degree, you graduated, you went straight to startups. You started working at startups, software startups.
Yeah, I worked there during college. My junior year of college, I started working there as an intern. And I really liked it. I thought I wanted to work there after school. But at the time, they didn't have like a job available. So I was like just crossing my fingers that something would come about by the time I graduated. And they told me, we want to keep you, but we don't have a job right now. So in like September, after I graduated. So like during the summer, I worked as an intern. And you know what I made as an intern?
Nothing.
$725, baby.
After college.
Throughout college and the 3 months after I graduated until I got hired for like my job, like my full-time job. Then I made more than that. But
wow.
I also had other jobs.
Okay, yeah.
I had other jobs.
Yeah. What were your other, like, how did you gain the experience to start your own business? Like you had a ton of other jobs. What were they throughout your life? What's your job? Like, what's your LinkedIn? I don't have your LinkedIn right now, but that would be kind of fun to scroll through.
I would babysit a lot in high school. I worked at Kiva, which is a sports center basically, and I taught youth sports. And that was something. There were 3 to 6 year olds I taught. And then I worked at a country club, same one you worked at.
Bishops.
At the pool bar. I don't know why they trusted me to make cheeseburgers, but they did. I hope they were good.
Oh gosh.
And then I nannied and I worked. Then when I was in college, I did the software startup. I worked at Spectrum Brands for Energizer, the battery.
Yes.
Hated that job.
Oh,
I hated it.
man.
That job I cried every single day.
Why though?
I was so bored. Okay, so I got hired by someone that I really liked. He left like the week that I came in because he got a different job. So then they just didn't know what to do with me. And I was like getting tossed from different people. And they literally had no work for me. But I was working there like 25 hours. I was in office. So I had nothing to do. And I sat there and I was so bored.
And that's when you dreamed up Miggy's Bakes.
I already had Miggy's at that time.
Okay.
So I would sit there and like do Miggy's stuff too.
All in 1 year. So you've always liked a full plate. You get bored if you don't have a full plate. Oh my gosh, that is. So Miggy's, now talking about Miggy's, your whole baking journey, let's like hit that because that was a big part of your childhood.
Yeah.
So when did you first pick up a spatula?
I've always loved to bake ever since I can possibly remember. The number one thing was I like to eat dessert. I think that's literally like what started it. I had such a sweet tooth and like no one really in my family baked. So I was like, well, I'll do it. Literally since my first memories are like baking.
And what did you used to bake at the beginning of time?
Cookies.
Easy bake oven? Question mark.
I think I had one, but I was like actually in the kitchen.
So you're into the hard stuff, like the actual oven.
Yeah, the hard stuff.
So chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. That was like what I made weekly, multiple times a week, was the recipe on the back of the Nestle cookie bag. That's what I made.
Could you even read at that point? Do you think? Like for real?
Yes, I could read.
You're like, Mom, how much of this?
I could read, yes.
Okay. So did you ever like experiment with making your own things or was it always following recipes?
It was mostly always following recipes. I didn't want to get in trouble and like make a mess. So, and I also like couldn't go to the grocery store and like pick stuff out. So it was like, okay, Mom, can you get this? And I'll make it. So it was like more like that. But yeah, I always liked it. And then in high school, college, I made stuff for my friends, for my family.
So high school and college is when you really started to show. So you were practicing out the womb basically. And then high school, you're like, you started gifting it to friends.
Yeah.
And then when did you start saying like, I think I'm gonna start charging for this?
Senior year of college, I had been making stuff and I was like, okay, well, I'm starting to like lose money.
Yeah.
Because I was making so much stuff. I'm like, this probably shouldn't do that anymore. So then I started charging
like a very small fee.
Very small, like probably just covered the cost of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then people started following me on Instagram and I was like, oh, like this, people actually like this. Like maybe I should keep doing this. And like, I just thought it would be a hobby. And I always pictured owning a bakery, but I never thought it was possible until I was older, whatever that meant. Like until after I had kids or like something like that. I just thought I went to school for economics, for business, whatever that meant. Why don't I get a business job? Like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to go and not use what I went to college for.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to start a business. I thought like I had to do what I was supposed to,
Yeah. Well, so from senior year of college, that would put you at 22, right? Or 21.
Yeah, about there.
And you had quit your corporate job by 23. So something happened in between those 2 years. Something transformative. Let's talk about that. What happened? You graduate college, you have your first.
Yeah, I think it was just like my Instagram blew up pretty quickly. And I'm not saying it's like huge or by any means.
Yeah, it's at what? What are we at right now? What numbers are we playing with?
Like 16.
16,000, which if anyone has tried to grow their Instagram, like even getting 1,000
it's tough. It's a grind.
Yeah, 1,000 is difficult. Like I've been seeing it, my number, which is like 8,000 for all year now.
Yeah. Like it's hard. It's tough to grow Instagram, but I got tons of orders through Instagram. And so like that's how I grew it. And that's when I say like I blew up on Instagram was like people would order through my Instagram. So people were finding me that way. And just word of mouth, I think, was like a big big thing. And it was just like what I love to do more than anything. So like I was really trying to just do it out of like passion, not for like, oh, this is something I want to pursue for my life. Like I thought, oh, someday I'll do it someday. But I really only did it out of passion at the beginning.
And what about now? Are you still passionate about baking?
I am, yes.
It's true.
Now
She
it's like, obviously it's my only way to make money. So like it's a job and I have to like support myself. But like it's truly like it's the only thing I want to do. There's nothing else I'd want to do probably ever.
Wow. That's big. So that's when I met Shelby, was in between her transformative years of deciding. So I met her when she was at her startup. It was called Spin. And that was the last job you had before you jumped over to full-time entrepreneurship. It's
been 2 years now.
Yep. 2 years.
A couple weeks ago, it was 2 years. I missed the date.
Oh, well.
I think it's April 6th.
Okay. That's wild because I left my corporate job April 4th, the year prior. Yeah.
Crazy.
So this is in the middle of 2021. Shelby was wild because I met her on Instagram. If you don't know, listen to episode 1. We met on Instagram and she had her full-time job. She was always baking. It was nuts. She was like, always talked about how much she was baking. I'm like, why aren't you doing this full time? Like, I'm not that busy and I'm kind of doing this full time. Like, I was also waitressing at that country club that we talked about, but I really felt like you could do it full time. What pushed you over the edge?
It was mostly just that it was honestly, we got called back into the office because we were like out of office for COVID, working at home. And they said, okay, you're going to have to come back into the office full time. And I thought, okay, well, this is not good for me because I was baking so much at home during the day. Once I got my work done, like as quick as I could, I just wanted to bake. We got back in and I'm like, this is not good. Because then I was staying up till 3 a.m. again baking. So that's really what pushed me, was the scheduling. And I'm like super thankful for COVID in that way, where like I was able to like expand quickly. COVID didn't hurt my business at all.
Yeah.
If I had a storefront or anything, I'm sure it would have.
Yeah.
But it helped me.
It helped for a lot of starting businesses. I mean, so many people in 2020 started businesses from their homes.
Yeah. So it helped me a lot grow in that time. And then just decided once we got back in the office, I'm like, this is not going to work. And that's what pushed me out of it.
So at the time, it was just you doing this all by yourself.
Yep.
So when were you like, okay, time to get some help?
It was August. So moved into Marigold, which is the kitchen that we bake out of.
Well, okay, here, hold on. So Shelby baked out, well, up until like next week, she's been baking out of this restaurant, brunch place in Madison. She uses their kitchen at night. How did you find that place?
I just cold called everywhere that I could. I probably reached out to over 100 restaurants, cafes, anything.
Ugh.
There are, for people that are listening that like maybe are interested in checking out like community kitchens or things like that. There are local community kitchens in our area, but I saw the prices of them and like I don't know how anyone gets out of them.
I agree.
At the cost of them. Yeah. And I knew that wasn't an option for me. I was like, this would take me 20 years to make any money. Yeah. With the charges that you have to pay
per hour. So it's like you need a big staff. You need like a family.
Yeah, and you have to schedule out like so far in advance, which like just didn't work for me either because I was like, well, I might get an order for 2 days from now that I really want to do, but if I'm not on the schedule, I can't do it. So that was like, I just said, no, I'm not even going to look into that. And everyone was like, what are you doing? That's crazy. Like, that's the only thing to do. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's the only option people gave me too when I like asked around the resources in Madison. They're like, there's this place and there's this place. And I'm like, whoo.
But I knew of another baker who had moved, but she was local, who had moved shortly before I started looking, who worked out of a restaurant. And I was like, that's interesting. She did it after they closed. And so that's the model that I went for.
Well, and I tried to copy it too. Got denied.
It's hard.
Got denied everywhere. Yeah. I probably gave up after 10
I
to 15.
Like at least 100.
It's just hard to get denied over and over and over again. You just have this slightly insane resilience where you just keep reaching out. You're like, oh, I got denied. Next one. I'm like, oh, I need to recover. Because I called so many places because in 2020 when they were all closed or late 2020 when a lot of them had shut down for the season or were shutting down indefinitely and some people just took it as a chance to retire. But everyone's like, nope, liability. Nope, we can't have you. Blah, 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 blah. So many reasons. I'm like, I know you guys aren't even using your kitchen and I'm willing to give you some revenue. So like, But anyways, Shelby hit the jackpot with this incredible place in Madison called Marigold. So if anyone's in town, go to Marigold, support. But now she's going to be out next week.
Yep.
So Shelby, I know for bakers, at least in Wisconsin, you are covered under the cottage law, which means like you can bake in your house and sell certain products that don't need to be refrigerated. So what made you think, all right, I need a bigger space? Because I know you had access to a couple of ovens.
Yeah, those were not enough anymore. And also to sell wholesale, you're not protected under the cottage law. Okay. And I wanted to be able to expand that way. So basically, if you're selling to anyone who's going to resell it, you can't bake out of your home.
Got it.
And also a lot of different like venues, wedding venues or hotels, things like that. Like you need to be in a licensed facility. So that was like another part that I was like, well, shoot, like I'm missing orders this way. And so that was like another push that I needed to get out of there.
Well, and also the whole pickup situation was super funny. I really love that you didn't care how janky this was. Because I
still do it.
Well, and so do I. And I know how janky it is, but there's really no other way. So let me paint the picture for you all. Shelby's pickup would be driving up to her parents' house and there would be a cooler
out front.
And then your cookies would just magically appear. And it would just be mine. There wasn't like a big shelf of cookies. It's like she knew when you were coming or something, or your mom knew, and then she would set them out.
Like some people, a lot of my clients are in Middleton and they don't want to drive downtown. So like I'll bring it back there and let them pick up there still. I don't really care. If they want to pick up off the cooler, it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a world of difference when you have your other place. But anyway, so your first employee, you got your kitchen at Marigold. It was August.
Yep. I got my kitchen in July. And then end of August is when I hired my first employee. And I was just in there every single night for hours, making dough, rolling dough, baking. I'm like, this is killing me.
How long did I tell you that you needed an employee before you got one?
A year.
Yeah.
A long time. I have a hard time letting go.
Yeah.
But now I have 6 employees. I had 9 at my high point, and I just went on vacation. Like it's a lot of work to leave, but like when you have employees that you trust, finally, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, which is so funny because I had begged Shelby to leave her full-time job for some time, for a little time. I don't have like an exact calculation. Finally, she did. And she's like, yep, so good. I needed this. Then I was like, Shelby, you should get an employee for so long. Finally, she got one. And now look at her. She has 6 employees, which is double what we have at Tricky Foods right now. And I think you're about to hire a bunch more.
Interviews next week. Anyone interested?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everyone apply online at miggysbakes.com, right? So how many people do you think you'll have in the new space? 10, 15?
Yeah. Minimum 10.
So can we talk about your vision with like Miggy's Bakes future? Future has arrived because you're about to get your first storefront.
Yeah.
So like what is going to make your storefront different? Who's your inspiration? I want to hear it all.
My inspiration bakeries are Jenna Cakes, Jenny Cookies, Kelsey Elizabeth Cakes, and White Flower Bakery.
I have not heard of many of those. So what do they all have in common? Like what
They're
about
all
them?
very like girly feeling, like floral pinks, very fun. Like you want to take a picture. So like when you come into Miggy's, I have a lot of things I haven't even told you that I'm doing.
Well, here's the chance.
So like I have like a hallway to the bathroom, for example. And it's going to be just an entire wall of like inspirational photo, like picture frames, sayings, cute pictures, things like that. And like, you'll want to stop and take a picture of it. So that's my reason for putting it there.
You're so good about that. You're so smart with that.
I want them to be disco themed with like disco balls hanging from the ceiling, but I am struggling
to figure out
how.
It
might be floral.
Okay.
It might be florals. Wow. So like
well,
one
it's
or the
going to be
other.
green. I know it's going to be green, right? Because that's what.
No.
You're changing that?
We'll talk after.
Okay.
Anyways, I want you to walk in and want to take a picture of what you're eating, the space.
Well, it's good marketing too. Like, oh, where are you at?
That's the difference, I think, because like a lot of bakeries, you walk in, you don't really need to take a picture of anything and you walk out. I want it to be like an experience when you come in. Like at Christmas time, there's going to be Santa every week. Come in and see Santa. There's going to be
wow, a pink Christmas tree.
Oh, of course.
Very pink. Your brand, I mean, you kind of live your brand. For those watching the video, you can see that. But for those that are not, her tennis shoes are pink, her nails, her scrunchie, her sweatshirt is Definitely mauve. And then she has
my Miggy's hat on,
her
with
Miggy's
pink.
Bakes hat.
Yeah, very pink. I just want the whole thing to be like more of an experience than just like a pickup, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I see
You
like,
can have
the difference.
seating?
Yeah.
How many people can fit?
Like 15.
15 people?
Mm-hmm.
And you are having ice cream, right?
Yep. Soft serve. We'll also have outdoor seating. So if you count outdoor, I don't know yet, but that will be more seating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so it's crazy because like so much of your business is to go order. So that you already know that's enough to sustain your business.
Yeah.
But then you add in that piece where people can just drive by, walk by and pick up a cookie is going to be insane. Because no one buys things unless it's in kind of bulk. But just those walk by orders are going to be insane. My prediction for you is your bakery is going to be one of those places where when people come from out of town, they're going to be like, oh, we need to go to Miggy's Bakes. And then there's going to be like a line out the door. And then I'll be volunteering on the weekends to like, because I love like when things are really busy. It's like, I love those games on your phone where you're like serving at a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like it would be like, just serving that massive crowd. But then I imagine you're going to sell out every day. And like, I know
that's my goal.
I see it. Like I imagine you being like Five Daughters Bakery. Like that place is packed all the time. So that will be insane. I know you plan to stay open later than a normal bakery. Yeah. Which is what?
I don't have the hour set in stone yet. Weekdays will likely be 7 or 8. Probably 8. And then weekends, 9.
Holy crap. Are you going to start selling alcohol that late?
No.
Turn it into a club?
Unfortunately not. We will not be. So I want it to be kind of like a late night. Not super late. We're not going to get rowdy, but like a late night after school, after sports.
After sports. Instead of going to Culver's, they're all going to like pile
in. Or like
in.
a date night, like things like that. Because, I mean, it's really like fast food or a restaurant. Like there's not really like a bakery that you can go to.
So your dream of having a bakery, it's all coming to life. And you're 26. So what in the heck is going to happen next? You have so many ideas. And you have multiple other businesses, but like looking at Miggy's Bakes, when you have your first storefront, it's up and running, it's doing good. What's your dream? Are you okay talking about your dream?
Yeah. I want multiple bakeries in different states. So I want a couple in the Madison area, probably the Milwaukee area, and then in places that I like to visit so that it's a business write-off.
Oh, gosh.
That's my goal. And Florida, South Carolina.
Oh.
And just places like that. Like we were in Nashville, and we went to this super cute area to go to this barbecue place. I thought we were only going for barbecue, but it was like the whole strip. It was not like State Street, but like kind of that vibe where like you could just walk down and there's so many different shops and such cute stores. Like anywhere like that is where I want to be. So, I mean, I'm open to literally anywhere. I never want to be a franchise, I don't think. Never say never, but that's not my goal. But I'm thinking South Carolina, Florida, Wisconsin.
Oh, that is, yes, please. I hope you do, because I also love those states.
Yeah, so that's the check back in 5 to 10.
Yeah, that will
we'll see how far I am.
That will be so funny. It will be funny. You'll have to like re-listen to this and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that.
I know.
Or like,
I'm kind of cringing already.
I know. But you want to know what though? If you say it out loud, I just feel like the odds of it happening are double.
I feel like I just think anything you actually really put your mind to and you're going to put in so much work for, like it's not going to not happen.
Well, yeah. And if someone from Florida or South Carolina or Milwaukee is listening. Oconomowoc specifically. And I love that you said that, because Delafield, Oconomowoc, such a cute area. You guys know to hit up Shelby at miggy'sbakes@gmail.com. Send her opportunities there.
Yep. Any other burning questions?
Yes, I do have a burning question, and I might have more than one question, but first burning question is this. Was there ever a time where you were about to give up on Miggy's Bakes?
No.
Never?
Not really. I mean, there's like certain days that it's so difficult and I say I want to quit. Like I go home and I cry to Ben and I'm like, I'm done. Like all this bad stuff happened today, all this horrible stuff. Like I don't want to do it anymore. It's just me being upset. But I get over that really quick.
Like, what's the percentage of good to bad days with running your business?
80-20.
80-20.
80 good, 20 bad, probably.
Okay.
Do you think that's about right?
Well, do you think it's always been that, though? Or has it what I feel is at the beginning, it was a lot of really, really highs. And then as things have gotten harder and you're playing with more sales goals and just more people and personalities.
Yeah.
The harder days are harder moments. There's this quote someone said, and it like hit me hard, where it's like, you're not having a bad day. You just had a hard moment and you're like nuking it all day.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit home for me. So I feel like at the beginning, it's this high, like I'm doing it. I feel great. I'm pushing myself. I'm growing. And then it's a lot of crap. I messed up and I'm growing and I messed up.
I'm more like, I just think of like the experience as a whole almost. So like, of course I have like so many bad moments, you know, all of them. So like, yeah, they suck. But like overall, I'm looking at it as like, of course there's going to be a lot of bad things right now because I'm literally building a bakery. I've never done it. Like, I don't know how to install a cabinet. I'm doing it next week. Like, you know, things like that where it's just like, I don't really know. But I see it more as like, I'm building something. Like, yes, there's going to be harder moments, but like, I don't see it as like bad days.
Next question is this. What makes you excited to go to work every day?
Every day is so different. And I can literally do whatever I want, pretty much. Like if I have an idea, yeah, like it's not easy to just like, oh, I have an idea. Let's snap and do it right away. But I can do it. Like I'm the boss. I don't have to go ask people for permission to do something. I can just try something. And so I think it's really fun knowing that there's like no limit for me or the business at all. Like if I can dream it, I can at least try to do it. So I think that's like the most exciting and like most fun part for me.
So this might be a similar question, but like, how do you stay motivated when things get tough?
I think I'm just in general like a very motivated person. I don't really struggle with motivation. I don't know if you see that out of me.
I don't know. You're just always going, you're going after it.
Yeah. But it's curious to see what you think.
I'm trying to think because I don't know if I call it motivation because it's just like your lifestyle and personality.
Yeah.
Because motivation, I feel like insinuates, is that the right word? Insinuates that it comes and it goes. But for you, every day you go after it. You're a very action-taking person, driven, and I guess motivated makes sense when you're saying to try new ideas.
Yeah. Like, honestly, when you ask what makes you stay motivated, like, I just feel like I always am.
Oh.
Like, obviously, there's sometimes when you're not, when you're like, I really don't want to do this. But I just see everything as like a step to getting bigger. So, like, even if there's stuff I don't want to do, it's like, well, if you don't do it, you're not going to grow. And that's like my ultimate goal.
So, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would it be?
I think what I struggled with in the beginning of the business was like, or even before it started, was like, you don't know what you're doing. You can't start a business. Like, you don't have experience. People are telling you that's a bad idea. Dad.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it was like a lot of that, and it made me second guess myself, but I always thought like, I can do it. Like, and it took me a while to just jump into it because I was listening to other people. Now I don't really listen to other people, which sometimes hurts me. Because I just
preach.
I don't listen
me.
to advice.
She's talking about
that
me.
well.
Yeah. I feel like everyone. Well, for me too. You hit that point where instead of always getting other people's opinions, you just decide.
Yeah.
Without that, I still do for some things though. But I've gotten better at being like, well, I'm the only one who has to wake up in my shoes every day.
Yeah, I think it would just be like to trust your gut, and like if you think you can do it and think you have the energy and the motivation and the skills for it, then you should just do it. Like, you shouldn't wait or listen to other people telling you it's not a good idea. Because I got a lot of that. Like, how are you gonna make a living? How are you gonna do this? And I was never scared of that. But I listened to other people and waited longer than I should have, maybe. But I think it would just be to trust your gut.
Shelby, one last question before we wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
If there are fellow bakers out there, which I know that there are fellow bakers they're wondering, okay, how do I do this for myself?
Mm-hmm.
What's one piece of advice you would give someone that wants to have a bakery someday?
Yeah, I think you have to have something that sets you apart. Like, you have to figure that out right away. I've focused on that at the beginning a lot, and I still do, where like cookie cups are like one item that sets me apart, I think. I think in general, like, my menu's a lot different, but like making sure you're not blending in, whether it's like in menu item, flavors you make, something that you do. Like, I think for us too, for Miggy's too, it's like our presence. Like, I try to just be everywhere.
Your branding is also really incredible. The pink and the dog and the funny and the young girl.
Yeah. I think you have to like make a name for yourself and stand out however you can. So like for me, I studied other bakeries in the area and not in the area. And I picked things that I liked and I was like, well, I can do that. And that's something I like. I kind of align with that. And then I kind of like created it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. There's this quote that I personally hate, but also love. It's something I heard from college where it's like find an idea, steal it, and make it your own, which like that's kind of what I did. It sounds like if you're studying other bakeries and you're kind of taking their ideas, but making it your own.
It's just like for bakers that are listening, maybe like if you go on Instagram, which is where I mostly live, and you can find hundreds of bakers in your area. But when you think of bakers in your area, who do you think of?
Yes.
You're probably thinking of 2, 3, but you can find hundreds of them. And if you compare all of them, they're all doing the same exact thing, creating the same subpar content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and same for charcuterie boards. Any business, you have to be able to
stand out.
So I think that's like the number one thing you need to start with.
And it's your cookie cups and your branding.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And your stuff is just Instagrammable. It really is. Everyone I can see your stuff and know it's yours or someone that's copying you. Well, that's all the questions I have today. As I was going, I'm like, I've got more questions, but I think this is a good idea of who you are and like how you got to where you are with your business. We'll definitely hit on another Shelby Tells All episode.
I thought you were going to like dig personally deep and I was like sweating.
Really?
Yeah. I thought you were going to go personal.
I could have gone personal, but we'll save that for another episode.
I'm an open book. Well, but I literally would have needed like the tissues because there's a lot more. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Dr. T.
Oh, Dr. T. We'll hit another episode where I will be Dr. T to Shelby. Anyways, that's Shelby.
Now we're going to do Therese.
Well, this is part 1. And so everyone, the next episode that you're about to see is going to be part 2. So we're going to reverse the roles here. But in the meantime, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Shelby Tells All and the Screw It, Let's Do This podcast. Shelby, where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram at Screw It, Let's Do This.
That's it.
You can also find our personal Instagrams at Miggy's Bakes
and at Tricky Foods for me. So thank you everyone for listening and tune in for part 2 next week. Bye.